My name is Daniel Levy and I'm a professor of sociology.
Hi, I'm Tracy Walters and I am chair of the Department of Africana Studies. I'm so excited to teach this class next semester with my colleague Daniel Levy. So we put together a brief video for you so you can have a sense of what we do in global studies.
Hi, welcome to this class, which is the introductory class to the Global BA. It's a core class, so all of you have to take it. And it is basically a survey class. I'm not going to go into all the details since you can get them from the web. I just want to give you a little bit of a sense what it is about. So obviously globalization, everybody uses the term. It's not always clear what it is. Is it new? How does it relate to your everyday experience? How does it affect the way in which we examine politics, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of definitions, and I'm not going to go into them right now. But what we can say and what we can look at is we can conceive of globalization as, how shall I say, as flows. Globalization involves flows. What is flowing? Goods are flowing. Capital is flowing. People are flowing. Information is flowing, ideas are flowing, images are flowing, and risks across national borders are flowing. Now, the direction of these flows can vary, but they affect everybody. I'm sorry to say in these days, but the best example, unfortunately, is Corona and the global crisis it has produced. So in other words, globalization is really the kind of intensification of global interconnectedness. And that comes with a lot of challenges, as we see right now. So even if people are skeptical as to what globalization entails, we can point to a number of developments that are not questioned. Okay, as I said, the dynamics of the global financial system, the expansion of transnational corporate activity, global communications and media networks, global production and dissemination of knowledge, transnational religious and ethnic ties, enormous flows of people across national boundaries, an emerging authority of institutions and communities above the nation states. All of these factors provide a very powerful case for reassessing the traditional conceptions of the nation state and society. So the class is a kind of overview and also an attempt to build a conceptual toolkit where we know what to take out when we want to analyze a particular problem. To give you one example of one module only, I'm going to pass it on now to Professor Walters, who will take you on a journey on a module called Global Fast Fashion. Enjoy.
What is fast fashion?
Fast fashion, you're thinking of brands like Forever 21, H&M, Charlotte Russe, Shein, Zara, Justice, Runway, Fashion Nova. These are all fashion brands with a quick turnaround, meaning the items are made at a rapid pace. These are items that are often replicas of what you might see on the runway, right? Seasonal, trendy clothes, but for half the cost. Poorly made, highly disposable. Fast fashion, we like to say, is democratized, meaning these inexpensive, trendy clothing are priced below high-end brand and made accessible to the average person.
How much do we spend a year on clothing?
You would be surprised. The average American family spends approximately $1,700 annually. In 1930, an average American woman owned 3 outfits. Today, an average American woman owns 30 outfits, 1 for each day of the week.
Why is fast fashion an issue of concern?
Fast fashion is an issue of concern because of its damage that it's doing to our environment in particular. So because fast fashion is affordable, we tend not to hold on to items for very long, right? We might wear an item 3 or 4 times, if that, and then discard of it. When we discard of our fashion, we have to think about where it goes. And often we give this clothing to charity shops or Sometimes it doesn't last long enough to even make it to a charity shop, and we discard it.
Where does fast fashion go to die?
Good question. Well, some retailers who cannot move their product, they can't sell it, they've tried to slash prices, they put it on sale, they end up sending it to 4 different countries. The first is Japan. The second, they send it to a number of countries in Eastern Europe, then Latin America, and then Africa. I guess I should have said continents.
But wait, isn't donating clothing to Goodwill and other charity agencies a good thing?
Well, once retailers have sent their clothing to various nations, they then try to sell them at outlets and wholesalers. If that fails, then they send the merchandise that they cannot send overseas or sell in the outlets. They then are sent to landfills or they are incinerated. You have high-end luxury brands who choose not to put their clothes in outlet stores and instead will either cut them up or they will burn them, right? They incinerate them because they don't want the value. They don't want to decrease the value by allowing the mass public to have access to them. Charity shops actually only sell about a quarter of what's in the store. The rest goes to landfills.
What is the environmental impact?
The environmental impact is huge. So you have to think about chemicals and dyes in the landfills, right? Water, the impact on vegetation and wildlife. Fashion is responsible for 20% of global wastewater, 10% of global carbon emissions. Fashion is really having an impact on climate change.
And what's the cost to human life?
The cost of human life is great too. You have to think about, well, who is making fast fashion? Manufacturers want clothes to be made quickly, which means there's a lot of outsourcing. America, in particular, we are the largest importer of garments. Nearly 40% of apparel sold in the US is imported from China. The Asian market is able to employ hundreds and thousands of workers, but these workers are often exploited. They are poorly paid. They do not work in the best conditions. Some earn less than $1 an hour. Some work more than 60 hours a week.
What about sustainable fashion?
There are a number of clothing manufacturers who've made an effort to be a little bit more socially conscious or environmentally conscious. H&M, for example, has a program where you can bring back any unused, gently worn item and they will give you 20% off your next purchase. But of course, if you're dropping off clothes that you no longer want to only buy more clothes, it kind of defeats the purpose, right? But there are other brands who are a little bit more conscious, and these are brands who are using materials that can be recycled. In Amsterdam, there is a company called Gumdrop, and they use discarded gum to make rubber-like material for shoes. In the Netherlands, a company called Wintervac, they make coats and jackets out of old blankets and curtains. In Spain, a company called Ecolaf, they make shoes from algae. And it's really good news because 55% of fashion brands are beginning to publish their annual carbon footprint.
What can we do?
There's so much that we can do. First, we can stop excessive consumerism. I like a good deal as much as the next person, but let's face it, do you really need to have 45 coats in your closet? Buy less, buy quality, it will last longer. This is the issue with fast fashion. Oftentimes, because the clothes are cheaply made, you just don't get longevity out of them. It's worth it to pay a little bit more and have an item that can stay in your closet that's seasonless and timeless and classic that you can have for a long time. Buy from sustainable companies. When you're no longer using an item, if you've outgrown that item, think about giving it to a friend rather than giving it to a charity where, as I've said, only a quarter of the clothing in a charity store is actually sold. The rest ends up in a landfill. Repair old clothes and then Avoid washing often, wear more than once, use green detergent, and use cold water for your laundry.
Where can we get more information?
There's tons of information. Obviously, you can use the internet, but there are 3 amazing documentaries you might want to think about looking at. The first is The True Cost. The second is River Blue. And the third is Alex Jones' Fast Fashion. I hope this has been informative. I hope to see you in the fall. Good luck. See you soon. We hope you enjoyed our video. We are very much looking forward to seeing you in the fall. If you have any questions about the fall semester or the Global Studies program in general, feel free to reach out to my colleague, Daniel Levy. His email is daniel.levy@stonybrook.edu. My email is tracy.walters@stonybrook.edu. See you soon. Please stay healthy and well.